restaurant on Sydney's northern beaches. White tablecloth tables, suited clients, conversations in hushed tones. Behind the bar, the owner smiles, greets, supervises. No one suspects that this same man has just financed a shipment of 900 kilograms of cocaine from Ecuador. In Istanbul, another Australian runs a boutique hotel near the financial district. His phone vibrates constantly. He recommends an encrypted app to his criminal associates. He doesn't know that every message goes straight to the FBI. Welcome to Australia's new cartel, where organized crime dresses as businessmen, cocaine crosses the Pacific at record prices, and a technological trap dismantled the largest police operation in the Southern Hemisphere. June 2021. The Australian Federal Police burst into a waterfront mansion in Bayview, an exclusive suburb of Sydney's northern beaches. The target is Mustafa Baluch, 33 years old, son of Afghan immigrants, owner of the Servo restaurant in Northbridge. Inside the residence, they find 62,700 Australian dollars in cash, 12,000 US dollars, 4 mobile phones, anabolic steroids, and a small amount of cocaine. This is not just another raid. Authorities accuse him of being the sole financier of a shipment of 900 tons of cocaine intercepted off the coast of Ecuador, valued at 270 million Australian dollars on Sydney streets. Baluch's arrest forms part of a broader investigation that began unexpectedly. At the Star Casino in Sydney, surveillance systems detected a man betting close to $77 million in a single week on slot machines. The volume of betting triggered money laundering alerts. The police investigation revealed that this gambler, Menda Rakoski, was part of a transnational criminal syndicate operating between Australia, North America, and South America. Authorities traced his finances and uncovered a plan to import 3 tons of cocaine into Australian territory. The operation involved 2 shipments intercepted by U.S. forces. In October 2020, the United States Navy stopped 2 vessels off the coast of Colombia with 870 kilograms of cocaine on board. In April 2021, the U.S. Coast Guard seized another 900 kilograms from a vessel near Ecuador. Australian authorities built a replica of the shipment and delivered it to a storage facility in Sydney. When Rakoski arrived to collect what he believed was the real drugs, he was arrested. 2 accomplices, Nicolau Misa and Gelos Nicolaj, fell shortly after. But the Baluch case raised deeper questions. How could a restaurateur from the northern beaches finance an operation of this magnitude? What networks connected Sydney cafes with South American cartels? And more disturbing still, how many other front businessmen operated under the same logic? Simultaneously, more than 14,000 kilometers away in Istanbul, another Australian lived a life of apparent luxury. Hakan Ayik, born in Sydney in 1979 to Turkish parents, had fled Australia in 2010 to avoid charges related to the importation of $230 million in heroin. A decade later, he operated the King's Cross Hotel in the Levant District, a 13-room establishment with spa and Japanese restaurant. Its commercial slogan, "Sleep your way to the top." Ayik was known in the criminal world as a key intermediary between the Comancheros, Asian triads, and Latin American cartels. He coordinated massive shipments of methamphetamine and cocaine to Australia from his Turkish base. What Ayik didn't know was that he had fallen into the most sophisticated trap in modern police history. In 2018, after the dismantling of Phantom Secure, an encrypted communications platform used by criminals, the FBI developed a successor application called ANOM. The app only worked on modified Android phones with no capability for calls or emails. The devices were sold on the black market and could only send messages to other ANOM users. The FBI had the master encryption keys. Every message, every photo, every coordinate was automatically copied to servers under police control. Undercover agents delivered the first ANOM devices to Ayik in 2018. Believing the platform was secure, Ayik recommended it to all his criminal contacts. His reputation in the underworld functioned as a seal of guarantee. In 3 years, more than 11,800 devices circulated globally, with 1,659 active in Australia alone. The Australian Federal Police recorded 19,370,000 messages from Australian territory. Criminals discussed murders, drug shipments, money laundering, and extortions without codes or pseudonyms, confident in the supposed security of their communications. The central enigma was this: how did two men, one with a restaurant in Sydney and another with a hotel in Istanbul, represent the evolution of Australian drug trafficking? The answer lay in the transformation of the criminal model. Traditional bosses in leather jackets and Harley-Davidson motorcycles had given way to a new generation that mixed legitimate businesses, global logistics, and encrypted technology. Sydney was no longer just a destination market. It had become a platform connecting multiple criminal worlds. To understand the new generation of Australian criminals, it's necessary to comprehend the dynamics that transformed Australia into one of the most lucrative cocaine markets on the planet. A kilogram of cocaine that costs $3,000 in Colombia reaches values between 160,000 and 280,000 Australian dollars in Sydney. This extraordinary margin compensates for the risks of transporting drugs across the Pacific. Cocaine routes to Australia evolved. Brazilian criminal groups, particularly the First Capital Command, developed direct routes from South America to Oceania, using South Pacific islands like Vanuatu and New Caledonia as transshipment points. Vessels, yachts, fishing boats, containers cross thousands of kilometers of waters difficult to monitor. Colombian authorities discovered semi-submersibles capable of traveling 16,000 kilometers without refueling. Sydney emerged as the epicenter of Australian consumption. Wastewater data revealed that between 2016 and 2019, national consumption increased from 3 tons to 4 tons 600 kilos, with 55% concentrated in New South Wales. Possession incidents in Sydney almost doubled, representing 84% of the state's total. Australia offered unique advantages for traffickers. Border controls face the challenge of monitoring more than 34,000 kilometers of coastline. Ports like Newcastle, less monitored than Port Botany, became vulnerable points. In 2020, authorities seized 1,890 tons of cocaine off Newcastle, the largest seizure until that moment. The Comancheros, founded in 1966 by Scotsman William George Ross, represented the criminal backbone. Ross established a strict paramilitary hierarchy. The Milpera massacre in 1984, a shootout against the bandidos that left 7 dead, marked their reputation. In following decades, they evolved into a transnational criminal enterprise. Australian migration policy fueled this transformation. In 2014, Australia modified Section 501 of its Migration Act, allowing deportation of non-citizens on character grounds. More than 3,000 people, many linked to motorcycle clubs, were expelled to New Zealand, where they established local chapters and forged connections with Maori gangs like Black Power and Mongrel Mob. This forced diaspora expanded Comanchero networks throughout the South Pacific. Simultaneously, key members like Ayak and Mark Buttle established operations in Turkey and Iraq, connecting the Comancheros with Middle Eastern and European networks. Money laundering became a parallel challenge. The Crime Commission estimates that $20 billion in criminal proceeds are laundered annually in New South Wales. The Star and Crown casinos faced investigations for allowing suspicious transactions. Clubs and pubs use slot machines to clean cash. Criminals load bills, play briefly, and collect the money as winnings. Old machines allow loading up to $10,000 at once. The hospitality sector offered additional advantages. Restaurants, hotels, and cafes handle large volumes of cash with variable flows, allowing inflated sales without suspicion. A restaurant can declare fictitious income. A hotel can register phantom reservations that are canceled. These fronts integrate dirty money by paying taxes and generating clean banking histories. Mustafa Baluch fit perfectly. His servo restaurant provided legitimate identity while financing million-dollar imports. Technology accelerated both crime and surveillance. After the collapse of Phantom Secure in 2018, criminals sought secure platforms. The black market for encrypted phones flourished. Criminal groups depended on these tools to coordinate transoceanic shipments and international payments. Trust in technology became their fatal vulnerability. This was the ecosystem in which Baluch and Ayak operated. Stratospheric cocaine prices, innovative routes across the Pacific, transnational organizations with decades of experience, robust money laundering infrastructure, legitimate businesses as screens, encrypted technology for coordination. Sydney transformed into a critical node of global drug trafficking. Mustafa Baluch's operation illustrates the new criminal model. Authorities allege he coordinated the financing of 3 tons of cocaine. Shipments traveled on motherships in international waters that transferred drugs to smaller vessels. The first shipment, 870 kilograms from Colombia, was intercepted in October 2020. The second, 900 kilograms from Ecuador, fell in April 2021. Menda Rajkowski, the gambler detected at the casino, was the first to fall into the trap. He arrived at the facility believing he was collecting 900 kilos of real cocaine. His arrest triggered a wave of detentions. The seized phones contained evidence of communications with Baluch and other syndicate members. Authorities traced financial transactions showing significant transfers to accounts linked to the restaurateur. The volume of cash found in Baluch's Bayview mansion, along with multiple mobile phones, supported the accusation that he operated as the central financier. Baluch faced charges of conspiracy to import commercial quantity of border-controlled drugs, supply of prohibited substance, dealing with proceeds of crime, and possession of anabolic steroids. Initially denied bail. However, in October 2021, he obtained it at Sydney Central Local Court under strict conditions. He surrendered his $4 million property as guarantee, accepted wearing an electronic ankle monitoring device, had to report daily at Monavale Police Station, couldn't communicate with witnesses, couldn't consume alcohol or drugs, and couldn't use encrypted devices. The decision to grant bail to someone accused of financing nearly $300 million in cocaine generated concern. Organized Crime Squad Commander Detective Superintendent Rob Critchlow publicly expressed concern for community safety. Those concerns proved justified. On October 25, 2021, between 6 p.m. and 10 p.m., Baluch's monitoring device placed him at the family restaurant Lucky and Peps in Newport. At 10:28 p.m., the signal went dead abruptly. The device was found on Cabbage Tree Road near Bayview Golf Course. Someone had cut it. Baluch was last seen on Pittwater Road in Bayview at approximately 10:40 p.m. The escape unleashed a massive manhunt. Authorities believe Baluch suspected he would be returned to custody and decided to flee. They had reasons for that suspicion. Baluch had access to large amounts of money reflected in the proceeds of crime charges and links to figures who could help him hide. Police executed search warrants at properties in Potts Hill and Yaguna in western Sydney, seizing more than $350,000 in cash, 200 grams of cocaine, 485 grams of unknown substance, mobile phones, and an electronic money counter. They also confiscated a black Range Rover believed to belong to Baluch. For 2 weeks, Baluch was a fugitive. Authorities tracked his gray Mercedes, registration EJV59H, without success. Intelligence suggested he might be traveling toward Queensland or even attempting to leave the country. However, on November 9, 2021, Queensland police received a tip from their New South Wales colleagues. Baluch was found hiding inside a gray Mercedes that was loaded in a container on the back of a truck, trying to cross the border between New South Wales and Queensland near Tweed Heads. He was arrested and taken to Southport Police Station. The capture closed one chapter but opened another. Court hearings revealed that Baluch was just one piece of a larger structure. His role as financier implied connections with South American suppliers, maritime transport coordinators, local distributors, and money laundering networks. Each of these nodes operated with some independence, minimizing the risk that one individual's fall would collapse the entire operation. This cellular model is characteristic of modern organized crime. Strict compartmentalization, encrypted communications, and use of legitimate fronts. While Baluch faced justice in Australia, Hakan Ayik remained unreachable in Turkey. His role in distributing Anom devices made him the most valuable target of the police operation. In June 2021, when authorities publicly revealed Anom's existence, Australian Federal Police Commissioner Reece Kershaw declared that Ayik was the principal distributor of Anom handsets and a marked man who should surrender to authorities. The revelation put Hayek in danger not only of arrest, but of reprisals from criminals he had unknowingly connected with the FBI. Hayek had built an apparently stable life in Istanbul. He operated the King's Cross Hotel since 2018, an investment that served both as legitimate business and meeting point for underworld figures. Social media photographs showed him on yachts with Turkish flags, dining at high-end restaurants with Comanchero associates like Barris Tuchel, former sergeant-at-arms of the club. His social media profile, where he flaunted a luxurious lifestyle, earned him the nickname Facebook Gangster. But his real financial profile showed unexplained money transfers, property investments, and a network of companies used to launder illicit funds. Hayek's reach went beyond Australia. He was accused of coordinating methamphetamine and cocaine shipments to Australia, New Zealand, Hong Kong, and the Netherlands from his Turkish base. His connections with Chinese triads gave him access to chemical precursors for methamphetamine production. His links with Latin American cartels facilitated cocaine supply. His position within the Comanchero environment gave him access to distribution infrastructure in Oceania. In 2021, the FBI included him in an indictment along with 16 others under the Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act, alleging he was one of 3 administrators of the Enam device network. The escalation of organized crime in Australia no longer depended on physical territories or visible street violence. It had moved to digital and financial dimensions. Criminals discussed murders by text message. They coordinated shipments of tons of drugs via GPS coordinates. They laundered millions through legitimate banking transactions. And they trusted that technology would protect them. That trust would be their downfall. On June 8, 2021, more than 4,000 police officers from the Australian Federal Police and state forces simultaneously executed hundreds of search warrants across Australian territory. Operation Ironside, the Australian name for the Enam trap, reached its public phase. Within hours, 224 people were arrested, facing 526 charges. Seizures included 3 tons, 700 kilograms of drugs, 104 firearms, 44,934,457 Australian dollars in cash, and assets valued at additional millions. The arrests spanned from members of the Australian-based Italian mafia to motorcycle clubs, Asian crime syndicates, and Albanian criminal organizations. The Comancheros were hardest hit, 76 arrests, representing 3/4 of the criminals linked to motorcycle clubs captured. The rebels suffered 9 arrests, Lone Wolf 8, and a handful linked to Mongols, Finks, and Bandidos. The blow dismantled leadership structures, distribution networks, and financial operations that had functioned for years. Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison declared that the operation represented a heavy blow against organized crime, not just in this country, but one that will resonate around the world. Commissioner Kershaw described the operation as unprecedented. Essentially, we have been in the back pockets of organized crime. The Australian Federal Police had provided highly skilled technical staff to decrypt and read encrypted communications in real time, giving law enforcement an unprecedented edge. 18 countries participated in coordinating Ironside globally. The intercepted communications revealed the brutality and reach of modern organized crime. Criminals discussed murders with the same naturalness as food orders. They planned mass shootings at Australian suburban cafes. They coordinated the assassination of entire families. They trafficked tons of methamphetamine, cocaine, MDMA, and chemical precursors. They laundered hundreds of millions of dollars through cryptocurrencies, properties, and legitimate businesses. And they documented everything on Anom, confident their messages were invisible to authorities. One of the most emblematic cases involved a Sydney man who planned to import 127 kilograms of pseudoephedrine from India. Intelligence obtained during Ironside allowed the Australian Federal Police to disrupt the plan before the chemical precursor reached the country. The man was sentenced to 7 years in prison in June 2024. In Melbourne, a man was sentenced to 16 years for attempting to possess 360 kilograms of methamphetamine, a case that Ironside evidence made possible to prosecute. In Newcastle, a man received 15 years for conspiring to import 500 kilograms of methamphetamine hidden in construction equipment, with links to the Lone Wolf Gang. But the operation also prevented imminent acts of violence. Authorities identified 20 murder threats thanks to Anom communications. A planned mass shooting at a suburban cafe was thwarted. The assassination of a family of 5 was stopped. These plans, openly discussed on the platform, demonstrated that organized crime violence didn't discriminate between criminal targets and innocent civilians. Cafes, shopping centers, residential streets, all were potential scenarios for armed confrontations. The revelation of Anom left Hakan Ayik in an impossible position. Being publicly identified as the principal distributor of devices, he faced danger from multiple fronts. Authorities sought him for prosecution. Criminals he had unknowingly connected with the FBI saw him as a traitor, though involuntary. Reports suggested Ayik underwent plastic surgeries to alter his appearance. He was seen less and less in public. His Dutch wife, Fleur Messelink, deleted social media photographs showing him with criminal associates at luxury restaurants in Istanbul. Despite the pressure, Ayik remained in Turkey, apparently protected by local connections. In November 2023, Turkish police executed Operation Cage in coordination with Australian authorities and the FBI. 37 suspects were arrested in Istanbul, including Ayik, former Comanchero National President Duax Hohepangakuru, and key figures like Barış Tukul, Erkan Yusuf Dogan, Jimmy Avijan, and Alp Öztürk. Authorities dismantled what they called the Aussie Cartel, operating from Turkish soil. Ayik faced charges of leading a criminal organization, drug trafficking, and money laundering, with a potential sentence of up to 262 years in prison. In February 2025, Turkish authorities filed formal charges against 66 Comanchero members, including both Turkish nationals and international members. The accusations included using the Anom Enterprise encrypted communication program to facilitate drug trafficking and money laundering, coordinating importation, exportation, and distribution of illicit drugs to Australia, Hong Kong, New Zealand, and the Netherlands. Decrypted data from Anom revealed that drugs from South America were channeled through South Korea and South Africa before reaching final destinations. Between 2019 and 2021, Police agencies in multiple countries seized 3,812 kilograms of drugs, primarily through cooperation between U.S. and Australian federal police. The breaking point was not a single event, but a systemic collapse. For 3 years, the FBI and Australian federal police had observed global organized crime operations in real time. They accumulated evidence on thousands of crimes. They identified connections between organizations on different continents. They mapped leadership structures and financial flows. And when they decided to act, they did so simultaneously in 18 countries, dismantling networks that believed they were invisible. For Mostafa Baluch, the collapse meant facing decades in prison. For Hakan Ayik, it meant becoming one of the world's most wanted men, trapped between justice and criminal revenge. For the Comancheros, it meant losing 76 members and exposure of their global operations. And for the organized crime model that combined legitimate fronts with encrypted technology, it meant that supposed security was an illusion. At the close of June 2024, 3 years after the public phase of Operation Ironside, the figures told a story of lasting impact. 392 alleged offenders had been charged with 2,355 offenses, including trafficking illicit drugs, money laundering, and dealing with proceeds of crime. 63 offenders had been collectively sentenced to 307 years in prison. Total seizures included 6 tons, 600 kilograms of illicit drugs, 55,600,000 Australian dollars in cash, and 149 firearms. This represented approximately 16% of total drugs seized in Australia during the period 2020 to 2021. But the numbers only tell part of the story. Operation Ironside transformed the relationship between organized crime and law enforcement in Australia. For decades, criminals had maintained a technological edge, using encrypted communications to operate beyond police reach. Annam inverted that dynamic. For the first time, authorities had complete access to criminal conversations, not just after the fact, but in real time. This window allowed preventing violent crimes, disrupting drug shipments before they reached the streets, and mapping criminal organizations with surgical precision. The operation also revealed the true scale of the problem. Australia faces a drug market valued at 11,300 million Australian dollars annually. Australians pay some of the highest prices in the world for cocaine and methamphetamine, creating massive incentives for transnational organizations to target the market. Pacific routes have become sophisticated, with semi-submersibles capable of traveling 16,000 kilometers without refueling, motherships operating in international waters, and innovative methods like underwater parasites attached to commercial ship hulls. Every time authorities disrupt a route, traffickers develop alternatives. Mostafa Baluch's legacy illustrates the evolution of the criminal profile. It's no longer just violent gang members or motorcycle club bosses who dominate drug trafficking. They're businessmen with legitimate businesses, knowledge of international finances, and ability to move in respectable circles. Baluch didn't fit stereotypes. He was the son of immigrants, owner of a restaurant in a prosperous suburb with a waterfront mansion. His ability to finance million-dollar imports while maintaining a legitimate front represents the modern challenge for authorities. The most dangerous criminals don't look like criminals. Hakan Ayik embodies another dimension of the problem: the transnationalization of Australian organized crime. His capacity to operate from Turkey, coordinating shipments from South America to Australia, and connecting Comancheros with Latin American cartels and Asian triads demonstrates that modern criminal organizations are global enterprises. They're not limited by national borders. They operate in multiple jurisdictions simultaneously, exploiting differences in laws, police capabilities, and extradition treaties. Ayik's arrest in Istanbul required coordination between Turkish, Australian, American, and European authorities, exemplifying the need for international cooperation. The Comancheros face an uncertain future. The loss of leadership, exposure of operations, and internal tensions generated by Ironside have fragmented the organization. Mark Buttle was extradited from Turkey to Australia in August 2022. Duax Ngakuru was arrested in Istanbul in January 2023. Tarek Zahed, National Sergeant-at-Arms, was seriously wounded in a murder attempt in May 2022 and subsequently charged with first-degree murder. Alan Meehan, new national president, was convicted of violating a serious crime prevention order in July 2023. By October 2023, Turkish police detained 37 full-patch members in Istanbul. The organization, once feared for its discipline and global reach, is in crisis. However, authorities warn against complacency. Commissioner Kershaw noted that there are encrypted communication platforms larger than ANOM being used by transnational criminals targeting Australia. "They're not okay. We're still coming for them," he declared. Operation Ironside provided years of intelligence and evidence, but it also taught criminals to be more cautious. Some have abandoned encrypted phones completely, returning to low-tech communication methods. Others have developed stricter verification protocols before adopting new technologies. The Australian cocaine market continues expanding. In December 2024, authorities seized 2 tons 340 kilograms of cocaine from a broken-down fishing boat off the coast of Queensland, the largest seizure in Australian history. 13 people were arrested, including 2 minors. Investigators alleged the shipment was linked to the Comancheros and had made 2 failed attempts to bring the shipment ashore from a mothership in international waters. This case, just months after the 3rd anniversary of Ironside, demonstrates that drug trafficking hasn't stopped, only adapted. The hospitality sector in Sydney faces greater scrutiny. The New South Wales Crime Commission and agencies like AUSTRAC have intensified surveillance of restaurants, hotels, clubs, and pubs used for money laundering. Cashless gaming systems have been implemented in some casinos to prevent money laundering through slot machines. Serious crime prevention laws allow authorities to impose restrictions on individuals linked to criminal organizations, limiting associations, communications, and commercial activities. The story of Australia and its new cartel leaves several lessons. First, organized crime constantly evolves, adopting new technologies, sophisticated business models, and increasingly difficult fronts to detect. Second, international cooperation is essential. No country can combat criminal networks operating globally alone. Third, technology is a double-edged sword. Both criminals and authorities compete to master it. Fourth, markets with high profit margins will always attract traffickers willing to take extraordinary risks. In Istanbul, Hakan Ayik awaits trial, facing the possibility of more than 2 centuries in prison. In Australia, Mustafa Baluch faces decades behind bars for his role as financier. The Comancheros attempt to reorganize under new leadership while authorities continue dismantling their operations. And in Sydney, in some restaurant on the northern beaches, in some hotel in the financial district, it's possible another businessman is financing the next shipment. Because as long as Australia remains the world's most lucrative cocaine market, there will be those willing to turn cafes into cartels.